Hey, what's up, YouTube? Alrighty, let's get down to business. This is going to be a retro console review, and if you looked at the title screen, you guessed right. Today I will be reviewing the Sega Saturn. Now, the Sega Saturn has a pretty tarnished image. Sega released the system in May of 1995. It was a 32-bit CD-based system. The timing couldn't have been worse. Right after Sega released the Saturn, we all know, what was released, after that, and that's basically the PS1. PS1 basically just took out every fucking system that was on the market at the time, in my opinion, at least. In my opinion, the Sega Saturn isn't too bad. It has a pretty great gaming library, but again, with Sega's just negligence and them not knowing how to market their systems, it was a complete flop as usual. Not as bad as I would say maybe the Virtual Boy was, but it did not do well at all. And one of the main reasons why Sega did not do well with the Saturn is obviously development and third-party publishers. I feel the problem that Sega's always had is not having a strong enough gaming library and not having a great relationship with third-party publishers. First of all, the Saturn was extremely hard for the developers to develop games for these third-party gaming companies. They had a very hard time developing games for the Saturn just because the system itself the hardware itself was constructed very weird, and they didn't, it was very hard for these programmers to get behind Sega. Not to mention Sega basically burned and fucked all of them over by pulling the Saturn, and going on to the Dreamcast, So Sega's always had a bad reputation with their business sense, but it is a damn shame because I did enjoy it. I love the Dreamcast, and I will review that in a later video. But I do really enjoy the Saturn. The Saturn had some great games, but it just didn't utilize its I don't think it had it showcases its complete capabilities. I think that's what I think Sega's big problem is. And always will be. But let's go check out the hardware. I have this all set up here. Now this is Model 1 Sega Saturn. This is the first one that came out in '95. As you can see, it's a pretty spiffy looking machine. You have your power button here, your open for your discs, and an access button, which is a reset, which this access button actually lights up when it's reading discs, so it's a cool thing. Just looks like a regular drive in there. This is real unique. This is the cartridge input. When I first saw this machine as a kid, I thought it was some sort of a Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis hybrid, because this looks actually like a Genesis cartridge slot. But this cartridge slot is used for memory cards. You pop in a memory card in there to save your games and whatnot. You can also buy an action replay card for this cartridge for this, and doing so will actually allow you to play Japanese imports. The Japanese releases for the Saturn, guys, are fucking amazing. I am very close to ordering an action replay for this bad boy just to start playing. The unreleased Japanese import titles. There's a lot of them. There's too many to mention, but I do want to get it for one thing only, and that is for House of the Dead. At least the Japanese version I can get for at least $20. It's better than spending $180, because the American release of House of the Dead 1 is a collector's item, just because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but House of the Dead 1 was never ported into any other system but, you guessed it, the Saturn.
So it's quite expensive to find a complete copy for the Saturn at a decent price. The cheapest I've seen it was maybe 180, maybe 150 somewhere on eBay. But anyways, getting back to the specs of this thing. So yeah, the cartridge slot is used to stick in memory cards and action replays or whatnot. You got 2 controller ports down here. Nothing really special about them. Designed pretty well. The cool thing about it is, if you want to look at the back here, oops, this slot right here. Let's see if I can open it up here. Hold on, man. Alrighty. Alright, this slot back here, there's a battery in here, which is pretty cool. It's like a watch battery, and it's really easy to change your battery. I suggest if any of you buy a Saturn, always just replace the battery, because these things are notorious for burning out and stuff, and you can't save any of your games if the battery is dead. So buy that or a memory card. I suggest buying a memory cartridge as well. But that's pretty cool, that Sega made it very accessible without you having to to pop this thing open with screws and shit and whatnot. You got your AV and your power adapter connections here. Nothing too impressive. You got a communication connector. Now this actually allowed you to actually connect this to the web back in the day, I believe. Not too sure about that. I haven't really heard too much about it. I know there wasn't too many games available for it. Other than that, let's go on to the controller. Now this is a generation, I think this is a Model 2 controller that came with it. Don't ask me how I got this. This is how it, this is how I bought the system, but I really love the Generation 2 controller. It's a lot more sleeker. It kind of reminds me of a Genesis controller, the 6-button Genesis controller. Only difference is this bad boy actually has buttons on shoulder buttons, which is pretty kick-ass. The controller is very responsive. It's one of my favorite controllers for any system, actually. It feels really good on the hand, and they designed this very well. The version 1, the Model 1 controller is horrible. It's very bulky, and the buttons are just too big, too bulky. I really didn't dig that, but I was lucky enough to get the version, the second model of this, which is really cool. And you got your, port for the access for the controller port. So I really do like it. The D-pad's a little weird, a little flimsy, but I mean, it just feels really good playing when you play your games on here. The buttons they just feel really responsive and whatnot. And that's one thing I really look for in controllers is button response. That's very important to me. And obviously the D-pad or your analog or whatever. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I only have 3 games. Like I said, I'm still building my collection. I'm building up my collection, and I haven't been collecting for a while. I stopped for a bit, but I'm back in it. I do have the sampler that came with it, Alien Trilogy, which is complete. I did review this in an earlier episode, I believe. Pretty cool. I got this off of Amazon. It's in near mint condition. It's really great. The only thing is it smells like smoke, but not an issue. I also have this really cool puzzle survival horror game called D. It's a 2-disc game. It's pretty cool. Oops. Yeah, 2-disc game. It's really cool. It's one of those crazy puzzle games, but there's elements of survival horror and whatnot in them. And this game is actually super cool too. It's very underrated, in my opinion, but most things nowadays are. But anyways, guys, that was a quick look at the Sega Saturn Model 1. Pretty cool system in my opinion, but you know, it just didn't cut the mustard. But until next time, like I said, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks. Bye.